for Ida Street. Melton. Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Mr. President.
Here. Thanks for your patience. Please rise for the pledge and remarks by Councilmember Johnson.
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Thank you. We still have some people coming. As we come together today, let's reflect on the significance of the past months. In February, we celebrated Black History Month, recognizing the immeasurable contributions of the Black community to our shared history. Now, as we enter March, we embrace Women's History Month, highlighting the remarkable achievements and enduring strength of women throughout time. By acknowledging these rich histories, we affirm our commitment to inclusivity and equality, paving the way for a more just and diverse future. Thank you.
Thank you.
An affidavit of publication is on file for the pre-council and city council meeting, and a current copy of the Open Meeting Act is posted in a white binder on the east wall of legislative chambers.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Omaha City Council. We appreciate having you here today. We look forward to hearing your testimony on our many items. I'd encourage you to turn your cell phones off or at least to vibrate. We're going to start today with a recognition of Deputy Sheriff Brandon Benson, who's with us here today, and actually with us every Tuesday, as well as the county board. It's his last meeting today. He's preparing to retire, I believe, tomorrow. We've always appreciated all that the Sheriff's Department does for this building and keeping our meetings safe and professional, Brandon in particular. So we're going to start with the presentation by Captain Peterson.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate the time to get up here and talk just a brief minute about Brandon. Deputy Brandon Benson's been with us for 25 years and 4 months. He started with us 1998, and this is his official last city council meeting, just like this morning was his last county board meeting. Brandon's been a fresh of breath air on this side of the house. Providing security and safety for everybody that sits up here and everybody that sits out here. He is 100 miles per hour on this side, looking at all the agendas, county board, city council, and so forth, seeing what is going on a daily basis. He's quick to intercept anything that he sees as a threat or a potential threat. And he lets his chain of command know immediately, and that way we can prepare for whatever might be coming on our doorstep. I know Brandon is looking forward to spending more time with his family and probably dig a little deeper into his real estate business. And then one of his highlights, I think, just in the past three and a half weeks or so, kind of the highlight his career while he was doing some real estate business off duty. He came upon an accident where a child had been hit and been struck and ran over by a vehicle. Critical condition. Brandon actually provided life safety measures, and due to that, the child is still with us today. So I want to present Deputy Brandon with this plaque. Come on up, Brandon. There you go. Yep, thank you, Brandon.
I'll be quick because I know we're running a little late. Brandon Benson, 1819 Farm Street. Just kidding. Just want to let you know it's been a pleasure getting to know all of you. Sitting in here the last 3 years, learning, county government, city government. It's been eye-opening to me. So it's It's once again, it's been a pleasure getting to know all of you. Sitting over here on pins and needles, waiting, for things to occur in these meetings. But I do want to apologize to Deputy Jim Nichols. Usually I'm coming with a fresh haircut. It's overdue, and I'm not looking the sharp attack like I usually do. But no, once again, folks, it's going to afford me the opportunity to spend a lot more time with my family, my real estate business, and taking care of me. But I will miss all of you folks, and this means everything to me. I feel terrible this morning. I was supposed to be here for the county board, but the sheriff acknowledged that he needed a community liaison with the Omaha Area Board of Realtors, and actually I do a safety presentation once a month to the Omaha Area Board of Realtors, to all the new agents coming in, just to keep them safe in their profession. And that went long this morning. They interviewed me afterwards, and I missed my county board meeting. So apologize, county board, but once again, everybody in the city council, thank you so much up above as well. And Larry, thanks for keeping me active. So
You got the thumbs up from Larry. Let the record show.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks again.
Thanks.
So you're not done yet, though. We have a few lights on. I want to say a few things about you. So first, I'll mention Councilmember Melton.
Yeah, Deputy Benson, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for all the service you've provided the community. To me in particular, when I first started over in the county attorney's office 20 years ago, you've been around quite a long time, and I appreciate everything you've done to protect us, to protect the citizens of Omaha, and the things you do extra. It's not just in here and at City Council. You're out in the community. You're out, again, providing a public service just this morning to new realtors to provide them with maybe the tools, information, and education they need to keep themselves safe. So I just want to thank you on behalf of all the courthouse and the city county building here for everything you've done, and quite frankly, the whole Douglas County and our entire city for everything you've done. So I'm gonna miss you, but hopefully we'll still see you around. But I really do appreciate everything you've done.
Councilmember Bagley.
Thanks, Mr. President. Brandon, I got on the council 3 years ago, and I look at the deputies here today. You have a high bar and a standard that I immediately recognize in you. I felt safe coming into this building because of you. And getting to know you for the last 3 years, for ball games you're out of town going to, you're always on the go. And I want to miss you, but I wish you Godspeed in your well-earned retirement. And I have a feeling I'm going to see you around, because I think we talked about getting a beer sometime. And now that you're going to be retired, there's no better time than the present. So I wish you and your family nothing but the best. We're going to miss you, but I can see the mentoring you've done to the deputies here today, that we're going to be in great hands because of your steady leadership that is going to be passed along to everybody here today. Godspeed and thanks, brother.
Thank you. Mr. Hardy.
Brandon, first, make sure Bagley pays, okay? I'm glad on your last day we're able to get you a little extra overtime by having a Board of Equalization run almost 2 hours. But what you said too is really important. I think making sure that we all have balance in our lives, and that balance includes, not only our work but our families. And I know how important your family is to you and your kids. And we've got some kids about the same age. And Brandon just told me earlier today that his daughter just got accepted into law school at the University of Iowa. And that's a great chapter that she'll be beginning soon. But that balance is really important. So I know that the real estate work is important to you. I'm glad you're on the residential side, not the commercial side, so we don't have to go head to head, because I know who would probably win. But I appreciate you and what you've done for our meetings, for the building, and for your fellow officers, and by the show of force that's here today. I wasn't sure if something was happening at the building, but to have the people show up in support of you, I think is really a testament to what people think of you and the service that you've provided. I guarantee, I'll bet the beer that Bagley's going to buy you that within the next 2 weeks, 2 o'clock some Tuesday, you're going to tune into us. It's hard to get out of your system, but we will miss you. You don't need to be a stranger. Please come back and visit us sometime. Thanks.
And Brandon, I'll just end by saying my thanks as president too for all of our work together and coordinating these meetings. And thank you to Captain Peterson and all the rest of your colleagues that are here too for keeping these buildings safe and running these meetings on time and in a professional way. And I think the thing I'll miss the most about you is every time before each meeting on Tuesday at 2 o'clock, I'd come in and we'd talk about the most recent rock concert you went to. This guy goes to lots of shows. So I look forward to talking to you about that, and hopefully I'll see you in the future at those shows. You have more time to do that now. Yeah.
Hoping so.
And Mr. Hug, did you want to say something?
You can tell a lot about an individual how they present themselves every day. And every day I seen this deputy sheriff in here working, he always had a smile on his face. And there's a lot of times in this chamber where you don't feel like smiling, but this guy was. And to me, that really told me a lot about the character and the type of individual he is. I will miss you, and I wish you well.
Thanks. Madam Clerk.
Items 6 through 8 can be considered together for.
All right, this one special time we'll recognize you, Larry. This better be good.
Thank you. Larry Storr, 5015 Lafayette Avenue. And thank you, Brandon, for your service. But I would like to say, I would like to see this, this be, excuse me, this is serious. In his honor, I would like you to change your procedure for selecting a person to escort a well-meaning citizen out of these chambers. These are people that we like, and I don't like you putting him in the position of shutting a citizen up because you disagree. The state has a better way. They have these nice gentlemen, ladies, that wear red coats. They don't have the deputy sheriff's highway patrol uniform on. They're a little easier to take being pushed out by.
Pushed out.
I'd like you to pick maybe one of your city attorneys that doesn't understand the Open Meetings Act and once told me from down there in that little room that's too small for a citizen to be in and speak about the Open Meetings Act that you never mentioned down there, asked me, walked up into the hall and asked me as I was leaving, do I have to get a security in here after you? Now let's let this be a legacy. Pick somebody else to do your dirty work, not the deputy sheriffs. Thank you. Thank you, Brandon.
All right, it's official. Madam Clerk.
Items 6 through 8 can be considered together for Arcadia Ridge, located northwest of Kansas and Laurel Avenues. Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval. Item 6, an ordinance to rezone this property from AG District to R4 District. Item 7, a resolution to approve the final plat. Item 8, a resolution to approve the subdivision agreement.
Public hearing and vote on items 6 through 8 are today. Proponents, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. Larry Jobin, 11440 West Center Road, appearing on behalf of the developer and the applicant. With me today is Jeff LaMontagne of E&A Consulting, the consulting engineers on this particular development. We're simply here to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Any other proponents? Seeing none, any opponents?
We're having keeping track of this young man. Donnie Johnson, the Johnson Equestrian Foundation, and North Omaha Concerned Citizen Foundation. I was told if Larry showed up today to make sure that he put some money aside, and here's the developer who has done a wonderful job for the streets that are tearing up with that heavy equipment. For this guy can go to school on safe streets.
Any other opponents today? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Ms. Johnson, you're recognized.
Yes, Mr. President, motion to approve.
Motion and a second. No further lights. Roll call.
Johnson.
Yes.
Melton.
Yes.
Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Consent agenda. Any member of the city council may cause any item placed on the consent agenda to be removed. Items removed from the consent agenda shall be taken up by the city council immediately following the consent agenda in the order in which they were removed unless otherwise provided by the city council rules of order.
Public hearings on agenda items 9 through 14 were held on February 27th. I don't see any further lights, or there is a light. Ms. Milton, you're recognized.
Sorry, I just have one question. When I discussed with planning earlier with Mr. Fanslaw, that what I would like to do is, anytime they have an application for an ADU, I wanted them to send the ADU down. What I'd like to do is every time maybe we build one, I'd like to look at it, see what's been done, and in the next year, instead of making amendments today, I'd like to see how this works out. And I would like to see how many are built, how many applications we have, and review that so that if there are any issues in the residential, my biggest concern is the R4, R3, the lower density. And that's some of the objections that I've gotten. It's more in the lower density. So what I would like to do is just review all of them in the entire city. It doesn't sound like we get that many, so I don't think it would be a whole lot. And if Mr. Fanslaw, you could commit to sending those to me, and I'd just love to review them, and then in a year, if there's any issues, maybe we'll bring it back up to amend.
Sure, yeah, Dave Fanslow, City Planning. I'd be happy to send you those that we get applications. Yeah, and like we talked this morning, let's review it in a year, depending on how many we hope we get a lot, but yeah, let's take a look at it in a year or so to see how it goes, and we'll happily send you the applications.
That's what I'd like to do, and I think let's give it a chance. People can already build them right now. At least this gives them some parameters so that they know what they can build, and it's not kind of up in the air. So I think everybody appreciates that. So thank you for doing that. Appreciate it.
Yep, you bet.
Thank you. For the record, that's pertaining to number 9.
Oh, yes.
Ms. Johnson, you're recognized.
Yes, I would like to be included in the review process.
I'm not being asked to be part of the review process. I just asked to look at the application so I know where they are. So
I would like to look at the application so that I can know where they're at as well.
Yes.
So when you include Ms. Melton, please include me in that.
We will do that, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's no further lights.
Second.
Motion and second to approve items 9 through 14. Roll call.
Johnson. Melton. Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
There's been a request to remove items 22 through 27 from the consent agenda, so those items are removed. First, we'll have the public hearing on agenda items 15 through 21 and 28 through 35. If you wish to address the City Council regarding these items, please come to the microphone, indicate the agenda item number you wish to address, identify yourself by name, address, and who you represent. And if you are a proponent or an opponent, this is items 15 through 21 and 28 through 35.
Just for clarity,
Sure, come on down.
so I understand. Ben Salazar, 1703 Ontario. How you doing, Ms. Johnson? And even though it pains me to say that I would agree with the gentleman here with the cap of Keep America Great, I second his motion. I agree with your premise on the sheriff's deputies. That I think it'd be more polite. The atmosphere might be a little bit better. Might want to change your hat next time, though. On items 22 through 27, that's why I appeared. I was asked by my constituent, South Omaha, to make some comments about one of these
We'll do
items.
that next.
So you're going to do this?
That's the next item.
After your...
Yes, yes.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yep. Do we have a motion on these items? No motion. Yeah, okay, 15 through 21 and 28 through 35. Go ahead.
Okay. Larry Store, 5015 Lafayette Avenue, Omaha, 68131. I'll keep this real short today, but I get confused when you go so fast about all this consent agenda and this number and those numbers. Donnie Johnson does too. So please slow down a little bit, but I am opposed to 30, 31, 40, and 41. I'll just say that there's too much gray area in a lot of that. You have to be a lawyer to understand it. And I can understand why citizens don't spend their time at night trying to, before they come down to try and decide which one they're going to speak on, and then find out it's already done before they get through reading the agenda. But I do want to speak to the last one about the last two, which is with all the cable and wireless
So Larry,
stuff.
we're not on that one yet. That comes later.
Okay,
Yep.
sorry, but please clarify, slow down and clarify which items.
All right.
Okay, I'm done for today, thank you.
Any other testifiers on 15 through 21 or 28 through 35? Good.
Luis Jimenez, 2709 Dewey Avenue. I'm opposed to 35, which is contribution to the homeless situation. I don't believe it's a contribution. I think that the county government should be involved in this because they're in charge of helping the indigent, according to the Nebraska Constitution. And then also, it's a fundraising situation when you have an organization. And even though they worry about homeless people, they're trying to operate year after year. So if the city government wants to get involved with taking care of the homeless, and you have gotten involved, and unfortunately, it's not your responsibility to take care of the homeless in Omaha because the county is supposed to do it. But I don't know, maybe you talked to the commissioners and you said this is a good setup for us. I don't think so. If that's the case, that's what I want to speak against. I think that the commissioners should have a direct contribution to this, and maybe they think they don't because they don't have oversight over the properties like you do, like the city does. So $40,000 for this one homeless shelter is interesting, but it's not going to resolve or really help out, especially when the state government is trying to go against the homeless people, as the commissioners told it. So help out the commissioners. Don't help out the organizations. Help out the commissioners whose responsibility it is to look after these people.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other testifiers on 15 through 21 or 28 through 35?
Was that either side, opponent or proponent?
Luis, would you like to be categorized as a proponent or an opponent on that item?
Well, I'm just asking for my.
Proponent.
He's a proponent, yes.
Can I make a statement?
Yes,
one of these?
on that item if you'd like to, yeah.
I mean, I would never.
And Ben, just for the.
Ben's on the side, 1703 Ontario.
Yeah, thank you.
I would never get in the way of any kind of assistance for the homeless because that's a dire situation. But along those lines, I had a friend of mine in South Omaha call me recently because she was overwhelmed with people from out of country, out of state coming in to her nonprofit. Now, she's not established as a shelter, although she does at times in emergencies provide temporary shelter, which may be not more than a day in frigid weather or in the heat of the summer. But she called me because she said she was being overwhelmed, in her words, by people coming in from Central America. I believe she said Venezuela and Honduras in this particular visit. She was calling me for help. And I said, look, I have an office in my home. I work out of my home. I don't have a grant for helping people in this situation. But of late, which goes back maybe a couple of months, through other people that I know in the community, much of this is not hearsay. It's I've seen people coming in from Central America and other countries. But there is a slow migration. And what I'm concerned with, the majority of these folks that are coming in to Omaha are Spanish-speaking from Mexico or Latin America, Central America. And while we don't see a great tide of it right now, just from talking to people in the community, like this friend of mine. There are people coming into this community from Mexico and Central America, unbeknownst to city or county government, from what I can tell. And this is just a red flag that we can't handle all these folks in South Omaha. We're not set up for that. But this is where they land. This is South Omaha, the home of the immigrants. Well, right now it's the home of many Spanish speakers. So these folks feel right at home there. So they're gonna gradually come into South Omaha. Like this lady said, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do and who to turn to. I couldn't give her any help. I told her to call the Latino Center, but they're not set up as a shelter. So just a red flag so that the city knows. Numbers are increasing. People are coming in to our community in South Omaha. And that should be addressed between the city, the county, and the state. At some point, these conversations have to start. This is a humanitarian issue. And just to give you a notice.
Thank you. And you're a proponent of 35 then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Public hearings are closed. I don't see any lights. Is there a motion?
Move the approval of 15 through 21 and 28 through 35.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Johnson. Melton.
Yes.
Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Items 22 through 27 can be considered together for purchase orders for a lead education outreach campaign for the Omaha Soil Remediation Program project.
We'll do a public hearing on items 22 through 27 at once, since they're all the same topic. First, we'll hear from proponents and then opponents. So we'll now call proponents for numbers 22 through 27. I think we'll hear from the planning department first.
Good afternoon, City Council. Steve Zivney, City of Omaha Planning Department. I'm the program manager for our lead hazard control program funded by HUD and our soil remediation program funded by EPA. I want to start with a couple pieces of information that deals with our partnership with the EPA. We took over this EPA cooperative agreement. We have a new cooperative agreement as of 2023. It started. With that, we brought our basically education, outreach tasks in-house. And with that also, our partnership with the EPA, they gave us two initiatives or two objectives, if you will. The first one was to reach out and get those folks that are on the fence for allowing us to still sample their yards. Believe it or not, we still have yards that need to be sampled. And allow those folks that have not allowed cleanup for them to allow cleanup as well. We probably have 100 to 200 folks that still need sampling done. Probably 400 to 500 folks that still need remediation done. So basically that's our two objectives, two initiatives, if you will, from the EPA. One other thing I want to add too is that the Douglas County Health Department does have a cooperative agreement with the EPA as well that deals with more of the education component that deals with the effects of lead on a child's health or a person's health. So I want to throw that out there because the EPA wants us to be very careful with blend. Sometimes they do blend, but we have to be very careful that we're not duplicating our efforts in these two cooperative agreements. So that goal with the city is to educate about the program, that the program is still around, that we're still managing the program, and that we also have, number two, is a website called the Omaha Lead Registry, where all of this lead information and historical data that's done all the testing over the last 2 decades is housed. So anyone can go to that website, search an address, see what the history of any sampling or any cleanup activity has been done. So it's a great resource for the community. Somebody coming in new into the city can look for a lead-safe property. They can look to see what sampling's been done, what remediation's done, if they're looking to rent a home in the area as well. That's lead-safe. So as we did some marketing and some outreach about the program last year, it was kind of ad hoc. We did some things here, we did some things there. We had one item in front of City Council last year. There was some questions on that as well. But we took this approach this year with, we wanted to put, we are putting together this plan, and in this plan is 6 of these contracts that are over the $20,000 threshold, that's what's in front of you today. And as we took a look at that, we looked at market penetration or viewership, reach, you know, what impressions are going to be. We do with these different media outlets, we're going to do print, we're going to do streaming, we're going to do broadcasting, we're going to do radio. We don't want to miss anybody. So we're doing all of those different styles of communicating and outreach to folks. And then as we took a look at who has the most outreach, who has the most penetration, who has the most viewership, that's where it started our list of. These 6 that you have in front of you today, I'm not sure if I'm in this order, but KETV is we're going to do KETV and MeTV. We're proposing to do broadcast to reach 369,660 households in the metro area. We're also doing streaming with them, targeting the Omaha lead site zip codes only. So we're hoping for 210,000 impressions per month for 4 months. And we can also do planning to do a production of a new commercial. iHeartRadio is total traffic network ads, all iHeart and Summit radio stations of 89.7 The River. That's 1,080 ads over 20 weeks. Flood Communications, broadcast TV on Telemundo, 138 spots over 3 months. And then Radio Lobo, 300 spots over 3 months. Both TV and radio ads in Spanish. Broadcast TV on KPTM, also streaming and digital, targeted to those zip codes in the Omaha lead site. Also Summit Media, which is Star 104.5, and streaming radio with digital targeting to the OLS zip codes. And WWT, broadcast TV, and Cozy, streaming in Spanish and English, targeting Omaha lead site zip codes only. So part of as I laid this out, as we took a look at this, we wanted to get this in front of you today and get this approved today. And then we're also, that's more of a broad general approach, if you will. With our, KTV was number 1 when we look at the viewership and the metrics. But we're going to not just number 1, we're going to go to 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 and down the line. Then we took a look at take a look into some of those areas in North Omaha and South Omaha. We've got The Boss in North Omaha. We have Mundo Latino newspaper in South Omaha. We have, we're also going to contract with NRG, which is Power 106.9, and La Nueva, radio station 99.5. We're looking at doing some print ads, half-page ads for 5 issues in the Omaha Star newspaper. We used Omaha Star last year. We're planning to use them again this year. In our experience with using them last year, they need like a 2-week, ask for a 2-week notice to get it into their print cycle. So we're planning on using them, and then also digital ads with the Omaha World Herald. So I'm thinking that maybe this, obviously items under $20,000 are not in front of City Council. So I understand that could have created some questions about what else are we targeting, or what else are we using, or what other media outlets are we using. But it is not our intention to leave anyone out. Again though, taking a look at metrics, taking a look at reach, taking a look at where can we get the best bang for our buck, if you will, on reaching the most people and educating them about the program and about the Omaha Lead Registry. So with that, I'm here to answer any other questions that you might have. I said it this morning in pre-council, discussions have to end about who we use. This is a yearly campaign, so we can add people in all the time. I'm human, I don't know what I don't know. So if there's folks out there that feel that they have a market penetration or a sector that we have not thought of, then definitely let's start a conversation and sit around the table and talk about it. But I'm here to answer any other questions that may come up.
Thank you. Thanks for that summary. Are there any other proponents on these items?
Luis Jimenez, 2709 Dewey Avenue. I wish the program well. It takes a lot of money for lead remediation to take effect. And so if this program is going to get the money to do it, I support it. Thanks a lot. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents?
Well, I think I fall in between that line of Ben Salazar, 1703 Ontario Street. I'm kind of, thank you for the information, by the way, I appreciate it, because I came here because I had several people call me once this agenda came out. And my concern was aligned with what people were calling me about, which is, you know, Ben, if you look at the list of these folks on the agenda, it's a predominantly English language companies that we're dealing with. And we all know that the lead impact has been for generations, primarily in eastern Omaha, north and south in particular. So my concern was aligned, like I said, with some of the folks that called me about north and south Omaha. And if we're getting the word out effectively to those communities, because that's where the impact was the hardest and the longest and continues to this day. I support the concept of information, but I do think it might be better served that we were more targeted into the communities, maybe on this side of 72nd or even 60th Street to the river. And if you're going to spend this much money, spend it in the right way and in the best way to reach these particular communities, because they're still going through the consequences of lead. My other concern is this. I know that you all have listed Flood Communications, which I'm assuming is Representative Mike Flood. Correct me if I'm wrong. My concern is that this man has spewed the most hateful and insightful and dangerous words about my people. And I stand here as a Latino, which I've always been, and I'm proud to say I'm Chicano Latino. I don't have any qualms about who I am. Educated by the United States of America and the school systems that you all attended, but I still remain Chicano. So my first priority as a Chicano is to take care of my community. This man is making money off of the backs of the people that he criticizes, that he wishes harm to, that he says the most spiteful things about, the most dangerous things, because words have consequences. Nobody has called this man out and said, you know, can we be a little more magnanimous, humanitarian towards our fellow brothers and sisters? What are we, just a bunch of brown people coming in like hordes, turning everything into border towns? Oh, these are human beings. These are all the majority of great people, great families, great children, contributors, essential workers. So that this man is going to make some money to Radio Lobo on the backs of my people that he wishes were somewhere else. Well, it's kind of sad. But I do think that the money should be better spent, and maybe in a more concentrated effort, North and South Omaha. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents on these items?
William King, 95.7 The Boss. I was made aware of this by Ms. Weston, and in the past, we've interviewed the hierarchy of the planning department when it came to, lead, because we are in North Omaha.
Hey, William, I forgot to ask for your address, if you can provide that.
Excuse me?
I forgot to ask for your address, if you can provide that.
2314 and a half North 24th Street.
Thanks.
As Ben just said, East Omaha has been affected more by lead. I know the planning department in the past have advocated on our network. So I was kind of surprised that though it wasn't, initially included, because they have advertised in the past. It hasn't been to this level. But we want to make sure that we're at this level also because, as Ben said, my grandchildren have been affected because we live in an environment. I grew up in this environment over 50 some years. A lot of these people don't live in this environment. I think we should look at media that's in the environment. I know we got Omaha Star, that's in the environment, been there longer than us. So we got, some entities that's in East Omaha that advocate to our community on a consistent basis. I think we need to be at the table when these opportunities when these opportunities exist. When I pay taxes, I go everywhere. And we just want to reciprocate it. We just want to do business. We reached 800,000 people. Brother Hug has advertised before. Councilwoman have advertised before. I mean, we are the community. We're the boss for a reason. Because we represent this whole community. We just want to be at the table. And if we need to maybe, decide sit back for a week and make a different decision and bring, East Omaha media to the forefront, I think that'd be the fairest way to do it. And I think it'll be the best resource in regards to spending the money because we reach the people every day and they depend on us in regards to the information that they receive. They trust us because we're from this community. I got statistics that radio is still king, funding my last name. Still king, baby. I got the stats. Omaha Star has been a staple in this community forever. And so I know Ben have also been connected with South Omaha media. I know if the Reader was still around, these are advocates of the community when no one has been advocating for those that doesn't have a voice. So we are the voice of the voiceless. We want to make sure that we're at the table. Over $500 million came to this community. We want to keep the dialogue and the momentum going in regards to changing the perception of how the city does business with the total community. I know greatness comes from this community. We expect you to be great in every decision that we make. We've been looked at all over, and so we trust that you make the right decisions. I'm for it, but I'm also against it. So I'm kind of ambivalent. But I really want us to go back to the table and dialogue and talk about it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Other proponents on 22 through 27? Seeing none, any opponents?
Good afternoon. I am Terry Sanders, 2216 North 24th Street. I am the CEO and publisher of the Omaha Star newspaper, which has been in existence since July the 9th, 1938. 86 years if you don't want to do the math. The Omaha Star is a member of the Nebraska Press Association, and in order to be recognized as a newspaper in the state of Nebraska, you either have to publish daily or weekly. We are a weekly publication. The gentleman mentioned that he was going to do 5 ads, half page. That is no money, and that is not penetration. The Omaha Star is not only a newspaper, we are represented through podcasts, through social media. We have a printing service, so we print and distribute in our community. And we're not just about the North Omaha community, but that is what is being mentioned today. I added it up, and it's approximately $168,000 going into this media blitz, I'm going to call it. The Omaha Star has the ability to educate about the programs. We have outreach in not only through our newspaper mailed to the homes, through digital outreach, through printed outreach. We reach into the schools. Just today, I was a reader at Educare at Kellum. We have market penetration. And I don't know how it was determined that these media entities would be used and that we would be looked at on the second go round, but anybody that knows me, I'm at the top of the list, not at the bottom and not on the side and not second, but at the top. I have been publisher for the Omaha Star for the last 4 years, since February of 2020. We all know what happened in March. Bottom fell out. I need you to understand that the Omaha Star has never missed a publication date in 86 years. Through the pandemic, through wars, through riots, we've always been there. And we are respected in not only the North Omaha community, but in the Omaha community as a whole. So I would ask that the council not necessarily approve this list, but ask the gentleman here to come back again, look at our numbers. They are published on our website, www.theomahastar.com, and consider how you can penetrate our community with not only advertising in print, but also through digital advertising, also through sponsorship of podcasts, possibly sponsoring a podcast so that the word can go out. If there are any questions, I would love to entertain them. But thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other opponents that want to speak today?
Sherman Wells, 4718 Kansas Avenue, and I represent Untamed. So really I came down here today because, for one, we talking about getting information out to the community, okay? So a lot of y'all are familiar with the community work I do. However, we did start a streaming service podcast that we've been doing for the last couple years that we got funded through the turnback tax. And so right now in our community, a lot of people don't listen to the news. They don't watch the news. And some of the main reasons why we don't watch the news is because the bias projection of North Omaha that we consistently see on news channels, it doesn't paint us into a good light. And I just feel like the planning department, they failed to look at the actual people and the mayor who the people in North Omaha is listening to, and we are the most affected. So when you're talking about who is North Omaha listening to, Untamed is who's North Omaha is listening to, okay? And if we're going to pass information, and it's really about passing information and not making check marks, then we need to get the information out to the people who's going to be able to get the information. So, get the money out to the people who can actually put the information in North Omaha, so that way it can be the most effective. We can get people funneled to the websites. We can get people the information about the lead and actually make the impact and not just check mark the boxes that you did it with the same group of people who consistently paint North Omaha in a bad picture. And that's why we don't really watch the news. And I understand, like you said, you're not perfect, brother, so it's not nothing personal against you, but you got to find out who the people are, you know? You got to, how can you know who the communication is in North Omaha if you're not in the community, if you're not tuned in to the community, you're not paying attention to what's actually going on in our community? And so I'm just here today as an opponent of the selection of people that you chose to get the money, to put the message out, because I believe that Untamed and the work that we do speaks for itself. A lot of y'all follow me or see me or know what I do in my community. And if anybody should be getting the money to get the information out to the community. It should be the voice of the community, and that's why I'm here today, because not only was I contacted by people, they want me to make sure that I'm letting y'all know that we are who they're listening to. Okay? All right.
Thank you. Any other opponents today?
Larry Store, 5015 Lafayette Avenue, Omaha, 68132. I am also opposed, and I have to say that I hadn't planned on speaking on this, but thanks to Ms. Sanders and that gentleman, I feel I have to. Because we are under assault across this United States and currently in Nebraska for being fake. We are presenting fake information. We are being called fake. And I might very well be charged with a misdemeanor for insinuating that you're the fakes, not me. Cultural Marxism is going on in this country. It happened in LB 1390 down at the State House last week.
Larry,
I
this is about lead
testified.
education, right? It's gotta be
Pete,
to
let me
the topic.
finish. Just give me 30 seconds, will you?
If you're on topic, please.
I'm not the fake here. The government is the fake, and we're fed up with the government calling us the fakes. Listen to these people. Don't listen to the people that have the money, that are the 501c3s. These people have been telling you some stuff, but you don't listen.
All right.
Listen to the people.
Any other opponents on these items? I think, William, you already spoke as a proponent, right?
Yeah, like I said.
You can't speak also as an opponent on the same item, I don't think. by
Okay, I
council
want to
rules.
make sure.
We'll see if there's questions, and
Okay.
I'll probably allow you to do that. Okay. Any other opponents that want to speak?
Hello. My name is Sundi Adamenelik, 2223 Dodge Street. I'm against this. I think that there's a tide turning in North Omaha for many years. There's been a group of people speaking on behalf of North Omaha not getting things done. There's a lot of lead work going on right now in North Omaha. There's houses being built by Mike Maroney, right across from the Bryant Center, which I was the executive director. None of that soil has been tested. The information is not getting out into the communities that it need to get out in. So I just think maybe a reconsidering a lot of the information get to the community late. I'm working with the Urban League now. I think the Urban League should be on the forefront of anything that's going on in North Omaha as far as information. But I think that the lead, the way that they're attaching, because I was the community outreach director and did the first outreach with the Minnesota lead department maybe 20 years ago. So to make it short, I think that just some reconsideration should go on, and then get the people that you see coming up now more involved in what's going on in North Omaha, and that include South Omaha too.
Thank you. Any other opponents today? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Ms. Johnson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is for the Planning Department.
Steve Zivney, City of Omaha Planning Department.
Thank you. I just want, there were members here in the room now that was not present during our pre-council.
Yes.
And at our pre-council, I brought this up, and my concern regarding other media platforms that are more attuned to messaging in the area in which we're focusing on providing education to. And I ask that you state the why behind the selection of the media that is listed here in the agenda. And then I also ask that you provide that information in writing. At that time, you then indicated that you were going to reach out to the other platforms, such as the Star and the Boss, which is great. However, I have a concern about the impact of this information. And so help me understand, you were charged with the EPA. The EPA asked or instructed the city planning department to reach out, these are your words, not my words, to reach out to get people to sample yards and to do cleanup. My experience with government is when they give you a charge to do something, they give you a timeline. So what is that timeline?
Well, we have a 7-year cooperative agreement with the EPA, and we have annual goals where we have our annual budgets, if you will. So they release so much funding to us on an annual basis. So within that funding is different categories for cleanup or sampling or this marketing and advertising category.
So we have 7 years to do marketing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
This is just year 2.
So we have 7 from 2 is 5 years left.
Yes.
So we have 5 years to get this right?
We
Okay.
have 5 years to add more media outlets to this that are have some substance and can impact the communities as they say they can. Yes.
Okay. And one of the individuals that came up shared that there was one of the selected individuals here would be the iHeart Media. It was stated that there was a concern about the radio not being respectful of Black and brown communities. Mr. Salazar, if you could come back up for a second, hold that thought so that he can clarify.
I think he was talking about flood communications, was it not?
Okay.
Were you not? But I'll let him clarify.
Let's let him clarify. He's able to do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Ben Salazar, 1703 Ontario. May I? Go ahead and ask the question.
When you referenced the iHeart Media and your concern about that media, I thought you said that there was some concerns about that media company talking in a negative fashion over the air regarding your Latino community. Is that correct?
I didn't specifically say that, Ms. Johnson. I was concerned about Mr. Flood's organization, which owns Radio Lobo. His comments in particular about my community and the immigrant community and the Spanish-speaking Latino community is who he is addressed in vile terms. And I just found it sad, really, to see that this man makes money off of the hard work of these people that he denigrates in such an ugly fashion, in such a dangerous fashion. I just find that irony that jumps out at me, and it's so sad for me to see that this man has the audacity to come out like that. And I know he's not alone. This has become a political football at the highest levels, and immigrants are taking the brunt in this city that was built largely by immigrants. There's another irony there. South Omaha was the land of the immigrants in Omaha, and from there they came and spread out and made the city what it is. But let me add what I used to do, talk radio. I used to be a frequent visitor on KFAB. I've listened to these very conservative stations, and uniformly across the board, the guests more often do speak in disparaging terms about Black and brown people. Now, how do we get the word out? Well, I mean, look, we can't cure everything. We can't cure language. We can't cure rhetoric. But we can help the people most deeply affected by the lead. And these folks, these gentlemen here, and this young woman, by the way, I don't think I've met you. But they're all right in the mix, as are a couple of my colleagues in South Omaha who can do the work more effectively. I agree. There's better ways to do this. I think you just need to reach out to some of us to help you. Because if we can be of help in our communities, we can do the work. We can have flyers. We can put stuff on the street. We can put materials in the communities where they're going to see it, they're going to get it. So yeah, uniformly across the spectrum of radio, most of it's being conservative in this country, in this land. It's unfortunate, but they do speak in disparaging terms about black and brown people frequently, unfortunately, frequently. Does that answer,
Yeah,
Ms. Johnson?
No, I'm still stuck on iHeartMedia and the fact that we have a radio personality that is associated with iHeartMedia. Is that correct?
What, do you have a name?
Huh?
Do you have a name for this?
You mentioned this guy that was talking poorly of the Latino community.
I'm talking about flood communications, Ms. Johnson.
Okay, flood communication.
Yeah, that's different from iHeart.
Okay, flood communication.
Yeah.
Thank you. See, when you ask questions,
You get an answer.
you clear up misunderstanding.
Thank you.
But when
Yes.
you close doors and don't answer
That's right.
questions, then you don't know anything, right?
That's how we learn.
So now that I have that correct, it's flood communication. So flood communication is the entity that you're saying that has done some disparaging.
Oh.
Okay, help me understand the connection of who makes the disparaging remarks regarding the Latino community?
If you just Google Mike Flood, representative,
Oh,
and get the comments he's made frequently, not just
Okay,
on
I
one
got you.
occasion, frequently about the Latino immigrants, the border towns, as he calls them, which is Nebraska, which for me is a favorable thing because it used to be when I was going to school at UNL, I could drive between Lincoln and Scotts Bluff, my hometown, and never see a taco stand. Now, how do you think that impacts me? I'm glad to see more taco stands along the roads.
well, thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Appreciate
Johnson.
that. Planning. I'm sorry. What? I don't recall your name.
Steve
Steve.
Zivney.
Okay. Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
Steve. Again, I had mentioned doing city planning. I'm doing pre-council that I wanted your remarks that were made put in writing so that I could have them for a reference point, as well as share that information with my community. And then we had Ms. Sanders also. She came up and shared that she had the capacity of her newspaper and other aspects of her business that could most definitely handle the volume that you mentioned or depicted in your selection process. Unfortunately, she wasn't identified in that. Any thoughts about, how can we include her in that? I mean, based upon what you earlier said, now that you have the additional information, how she fits and her business fits in order to provide larger capacity. I'm concerned that why are we putting her off for round 2 or round 3 when she has indicated that perhaps she could be considered for round 1. Also, the boss, and then also we have Untamed that has also indicated that they are players that could do that. Any comments to those?
Yeah, I mean, as I said in pre-council, those conversations can continue to happen. I did say we were planning to use Omaha Star. With the information that I've heard today, we can definitely look at expanding what the services for the Omaha Star and the reach and penetration that they have. Untamed, I was not familiar with Untamed. Would definitely love to sit down with that gentleman from Untamed and to see what we can, how we can partnership and work together. I'm looking for any ambassadors in South Omaha and North Omaha that can help me with this. We have children that are getting lead poisoned, and that's what we need to stop. That's what we need to stop. So,
And
you
so
know,
would we also consider them being individuals that would provide a service of $20,000 plus as well as what we're being?
Going forward, absolutely. Another thing I forgot to add maybe in my first talk was, with this being an election year, was also trying. My intent was to lock these contracts in early, and now they actually wanted us to lock them in December, because pricing is just going up for 2024 because of an election year. So that was another reason why I wanted to get all of these, in front of you today. Here we are today to approve these today. So we can definitely look at expanding any one of these, and to see what they can offer. Yes.
Now, I'm going to clarify because I'm an IT person by profession. And when I hear things like we can consider and we're going to talk with no timetables to it, that's a huge concern to me. So can we put that in more perspective? How soon can we consider these other opportunities
I mean, we can talk
to
in the
be
next
added?
month. We can talk with this next month coming up. I mean, I'll meet with these people in the next, everyone in the next month.
Okay. All right. I'm going to close by emphasizing some things that I feel is very important that should be shared as a matter of record. And that would be leveraging neighborhood media platforms for educating poor neighborhoods about lead removal presents a potent strategy. These platforms intimately connect with the community, fostering trust and engagement. This targeted approach ensures that vital information permeates every corner of the neighborhood, resonating effectively and empowering residents to take informed actions for their well-being. So it is very crucial for this East Omaha, if we're really going to be serious in our efforts to remove lead in a mighty way, that we must include these other platforms to get the message out. It's very essential, very crucial. So I'm going to hold you to your word that these individuals are going to be included in the same amount of money, especially if they have capacity, because there's no reason why the A shouldn't have been included in the first place, and two, again, this is an Omaha movement to remove lead. And the people that are served in that particular community that we're focusing on, we have to consider them first in terms of ways that we're going to address the messaging. That's paramount. Thank you. Mr. Salazar?
Yes, thank you. Ben Salazar, 1703 Ontario. Let me add a couple of things for the benefit of you all and for planning. I published Nuestro Mundo for 20 years. It was bilingual monthly Spanish-English magazine. And my wife and I did that for 20 years up until around 2010. From that time on, I worked closely with Mundo Latino, which is Spanish language weekly, owned by my friend Abril Garcia. And Abril has sought me out frequently to assist her in one way or another with her publication. But Abril is very professional, wide-reaching, and has a great staff because she also does a newscast in Spanish. I think it's public television. She does her newscast, and she does graphics. She does everything beautifully. but she's been a good partner of mine for a number of years, including the COVID campaign that I ran for Douglas County Health Department for 2 years. So she was my right-hand woman. She was right there with me for 2 years, and we ran the campaign in South Omaha, which turned out the best numbers, by the way, against COVID in the entire city. So she did a great job. But just to give you that notice that she does a number of things online. She is a partner of mine. That's Mundo Latino newspaper. Thank you.
Thank you. And Steve has that information as well? Thank you. Motion to approve.
Second. There's a motion to approve and a second. Mr. Bagley, you're recognized.
Thanks, Mr. President. Steve, I appreciated you reiterating what you said in pre-council. You covered a lot of things that questions had come up, and one of the things that was mentioned, you're spending money in the right way, and you mentioned this morning and reiterated again that the election year causes advertising prices to go way up. So just so I'm crystal clear, the reason you're doing this now is to try to get ahead of that. Is that correct?
Correct. These are for like October and November, broadcasting in months. So later, it's for the whole year.
And if you waited, you wouldn't be doing your due diligence for taxpayers if you waited to do this later this spring or in the summer. Is that fair to say?
I think it's fair to say. I mean, I still try to be a good steward of these funds that we're getting from the EPA and make sure that they're being benefited to our community the best they can be.
And I trust that you are, and I got confidence in you, and I appreciated you sharing that this morning, as well as here today when a lot of folks can't make the pre-council meetings when it was asked. And you also said that you are going to look at doing more contracts, as you mentioned here today. So I think that's good for the people that are listening out there today and the folks that are here, that this isn't the end of the city reaching out. You're looking, and I can see as you were talking to people here today, that I appreciate your willingness to do that, and I think that's good for the communities, that it should be a thing that people work together to get that information out, and I got a lot of confidence in you to do that, so I appreciate you doing that for us here today. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Harding.
Thank you, Mr. President. A couple things. One, and I think Ms. Sanders brought this up too. It's what we're dealing with today on our agenda with items 22 through 27. I'm sorry, Ms. Sanders, you can sit down. I wasn't going to call on you right now.
No, I know. I was going to say so.
It's about $168,000 between items 22 through 27. I think the budget for this program on an annual basis is about $220,000. So about $65,000, which I think Steve has said is, that is not in front of us today because it does not exceed the $20,000 limit to get approval at council, is left to be spent on the campaign. In addition to that, which would, as he said earlier this morning at pre-council, which would include avenues and platforms such as the Boss, such as the Omaha Star, and others. In addition to that, of the 168,000 we're dealing with, there is, a lot of it is targeted and for those that are most affected, those areas that are most affected. So I think we need to remember that when we're considering these. Again, these are just those that would exceed the $20,000 limit that would require city council approval. It's interesting, a long time ago, maybe I shouldn't even admit it, I probably didn't even pass the course, but I took, we called it Melaments. It was the elements of advertising at the University of Kansas, and Professor Mel was kind of the go-to person for advertising classes at the University of Kansas. And we learned a lot about reach and frequency and impressions. And it got me to think, and I appreciate Steve's passion in this mission to get the word out. Actually, Steve, I'm going to probably embarrass you a little bit. Stand up, please. Show everyone your right sleeve. Okay, so for all those, remember your periodic tables, PB is the symbol for lead. He wears it on his sleeve. So I think we know the passion and the interest that Steve has in this. But I might make a suggestion for next year, and that's that we employ the services of an advertising group that can put a comprehensive plan together that would include maybe a broader, what we could get for, what better reach we could get, or what better frequency we could get to get the message out. And I think maybe by employing the services of an ad agency, we would get a better, a better mix and a better result. So I'll be supportive of these today, and I, as Councilmember Johnson and others have said, I take you at your word that you're going to reach out to some of these people too, or all these people, and talk about those possibilities. But again, I think maybe for years going forward, because I think you said we're in the second year of a 7-year plan, for those out years, maybe we should look at the services of professionals who could actually help us drive the message as far as we need to get it to go.
Yeah, we can take a look at that. I mean, I have had that thought before, but then you're always paying somebody advertising house a markup. So again, me trying to save,
I understand. I agree. There's certainly.
I've thought of it.
I agree, but it
we'll
might be money well spent.
I'll loop it back. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe.
Thank you, Pete. Steve, I'd had just a couple of questions. I kind of was going to go down the same track that Mr. Harding was going, looking at the amount of money that we're approving today, or hopefully approving today, versus the amount of the budget. So the budget was, I'm going to trust you more than Brinker. Is it 200?
Roughly right around 220.
$220,000. How much? What was our budget last year, and how much did we spend on this kind of outreach? Do you know?
I know we didn't spend it all. I don't have that number at the top of my head.
I guess my question is, this is a recurring thing from the EPA, and we can expect that over that 7-year period, that they will be, okay.
Yes.
Okay, I think
so
that was.
I mean, that's a good point too. If I look back at those numbers and see if those numbers weren't completely utilized for that last year, then we could possibly utilize some of those numbers for more this year.
How much do we have? This might be for somebody else in planning, but how much do we have budgeted for, from EPA to do the cleanup work every year?
So we budget around $2 million.
And how much are people applying for each year?
Well, we're cleaning up about 100 yards a year at around 18 to 20,000 a yard is what our average is. So we're right at that budget.
Okay, that was I think that was my question. So we're spending what we can. We're getting the message out. I think I agree. We want to employ people that are in the neighborhoods that are most effective for sure. And so I appreciate that, your willingness to jump into that arena too. And it looks like you've got $50,000 to do that even this year. So appreciate that.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Yes, Mr. President, I have Ms. Sanders that wanted to say something, and then Steve, I had a few more questions for you, please.
I just wanted to speak to the point that this being an election year, advertising rates go up. At the Omaha Star, our advertising rates are across the board. I don't look at it is a year where I can maybe gain some more money because people are running for office. My rates are what my rates are. They're the same all year long. So consider that.
Yeah, good info. Thank you.
All right, Steve, just so that I'm clear, if we vote on these items today, looking at your budget for this year, how much is left for advertisement?
Well, it's going to be the 60. I don't have my phone with me. I can't do the math. 52, roughly 52. Yeah.
So just so we're clear, these individuals that we're going to be talking to in the next 30 days, you only have $52,000 to work with if we vote to approve this today.
Roughly, but as I mentioned, there may be some funding left over from the prior year. I need to look into that. But there may be some additional funding that we could use. So there may be some more funding available.
So when you send me the written report that we discussed today, can you include what you learned regarding what was remaining from previous years, so that I have a clear understanding as to what's possible? Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. I think I'm the last speaker. I'll just say I appreciate the testimony here today. I think you're making the program better. I agree with other speakers who I think already asked all my questions, that it's really important that we include opportunities like the Star and Untamed and Western Mundo and the Boss and these conversations. I know it's going to happen given this conversation today, and I think that's in all of our interest to see that that does happen. And again, as some speakers discussed, the reason why we're all here is because we all care about lead poisoning in our kids and getting that remediated and contacting our communities and our families to make sure they understand the resources that are available. And it's only getting more important with blood lead levels being reduced in the EPA standards to what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. So we clearly have a lot more work to do, and look forward to engaging on this program of work now and over the next 5 years and as long as it takes. No further lights. There's a motion to approve in a second. Roll call.
Johnson. Melton. Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thank you.
Item 36, an ordinance to approve a professional services agreement with Wade Trim, Inc. to provide professional design services on the Northeast Omaha High Rate Treatment Basin and associated projects.
Public hearing on number 36 is today. Proponents, please. We've asked Public Works to give a brief overview of this topic.
Good afternoon, Jim Tyler, City of Omaha Public Works. Speaking on behalf of the Public Works Department. This project, and I did provide some notes to the council members, and so if you have any questions on those notes that I did provide, I wanted to stress a few points here in front of the public so they understand what this project is about. This project was identified as a part of our 2021 Combined Sewer Overflow Long-Term Control Plan, and it's a key component of our program that will improve water quality within the Missouri River. The development of that long-term control plan included our program optimization effort, which resulted in a substantial overall cost savings over our previous plan and helped with our current sewer rate ordinance that includes annual rate increases for Omaha residents of just over 1% a year, less than the rate of inflation, our lowest rate increases in over 20 years. The project is good for water quality, it's good for human health and the environment, and it's good for our ratepayers. This is $24 million, and this is not to build something. This is $24 million to hire an engineering team to design a project that's going to have an overall value of about $260 to $280 million. A couple of other notes, and then I did notice that I really did not have a good map in the notes that I provided, so I'm going to pull that up on the screen. But the project is going to be located here. I'll kind of point this out.
Rise it up a little more there.
Okay. There you go. So if you can see what's on the screen, and what I kind of drew here in a square in pink, that's where the treatment facility, high rate treatment facility, is going to be located. That's right there on Abbott Drive. The kind of this area you see here, that's that Lyman Ritchie concrete facility there along Abbott Drive. This is the Magellan Tank Farm, so it's going to be situated in an industrial area just kind of north of the development going on in Northeast Omaha. We actually will be bringing a tunnel, a short tunnel, not the big long tunnel that we don't have to build, but a tunnel that's going to carry flows from northeast Omaha and take those flows to where this facility is going to be located. Again, this is a high rate combined sewer overflow facility that's going to be designed. It is just like the one that we built here out at the Saddle Creek facility. The difference is this one has to build piping to bring the flow there, and that's the main difference within this facility. The facility has to go there. This is where all the combined sewage comes together. What you see here, this is an open channel where pretty much all of the combined sewage in north and northeast Omaha kind of comes together all right here. That's why this facility is located where it's at. The design team, Wade Trim, they do this work all over the upper Midwest. They've been doing it for 30 years. They did our Saddle Creek facility design. They brought on the team members of HDR that were part of our CSO program management team. And so it's a good team. They're going to be doing some great work for us. I did want to talk a little bit about the project schedule. This is long term. They're going to be working for a long time here. And I'll just read these. It's not going to show up. The estimated cost of construction, I talked about that a little bit. Design getting underway now. We're starting meetings with the team as soon as we approve the contract. We'll probably progress that design through about 2027. Next 3 to 4 years. Construction activities to start around 2027. Probably go on for another 5 to 6 years after that. So we're talking, an 8 to 10 year process here once we get this a design team on board. Somewhere in that time frame, we will bring a contractor on board. That may be through the design bid build process. That may be through alternate delivery, like the CMAR process that we've doing with some of our projects here lately. So that's a pretty good overview of the project, the design team we're hiring, and the contract in front of you. And I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any other proponents that want to speak today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing's closed. Mr. Harding.
Thank you, Mr. President. Jim, if you wouldn't mind getting up. I just thank you for the overview. I thought it was important when we were talking at pre-council today to talk a little bit about this because I think sometimes we don't give you and your department and our consultants enough of accolades for the end result of what this is going to be, which is improvement of water quality. And I think it's something that we need to talk a little bit about. I had a couple questions, and we're going to be saving money over the long term too, correct?
Yeah, and I just and something that Steve said, and he's not here anymore, but we wear this stuff on our sleeves too, and we take this extremely seriously. We are stewards of this money. We look out for it to the best that we can, and the funding we spend on the consultants we hire and the projects that we build, we do everything we can to keep those costs low and get everything we can out of that.
I know you do, and that's why I wanted you to be able to say that. I was talking with Councilmember Rowe too a little bit about the location of this, and obviously it's in large part directed by the topography, and I think you pointed that out when you had the map, the location map up there. I know when we did the grit removal station kind of across the street, if you will, next door to the Parks station, we kind of we paid a little bit of extra attention to the exterior of the facility so that it would blend in more with the surrounding area. And I was wondering if you could make a couple comments about that, since it is right on Abbott Drive and kind of on the way into town, if you will.
Sure, absolutely. So we have already talked to not directly to the developer, but I talked to the attorney for the developer, and we assured them, and if you ever go out to our Saddle Creek facility and you look at the Baxter Arena, We met directly with the Baxter Arena. We had our architects work with their architects. We came up with, and then that was almost exactly like this facility. It's going to be it's going to sit between development and an industrial area. And we made that facility out there by the Baxter Arena just fit right there. You know, anything that we wanted to sit on the industrial side, we put those parts of the facility on the industrial side. Anything that faced the Baxter Arena, when we made that facade look like the Baxter Arena. We assured those individuals that are working on that development that we would coordinate closely with them. We will meet with the Planning Department Urban Design Review Board, and we will make sure everything gets approved through them. So yes, we're going to work very hard on that process.
Okay, thank you, because I know that's, obviously there's a lot of investment going in that area, including this project, but a lot of investment both from commercial and entertainment venues, but that's why I think it's at the end of the string of pearls. It's something that I'm glad you're paying attention to, because I think it needs to mix or blend in with the surrounding environment and uses.
Yeah, these types of facilities they're located all across the upper Midwest and Northeast where combined sewers are, and a lot of them you don't even know they're there because they are made to blend in with the community, and we're going to make sure ours has that look and feel.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Begley.
Thanks, Mr. President. Jim, I took that tour last year, I think it was in May, at Saddle Creek, and what you said hit the nail on the head. It does blend in. I mean, I don't know what Baxter holds, is it 18,000 or whatever the count is? I'll bet most people don't know that that is there. But if you tour it, it is a spectacle. And I think that was done on budget or close to being on budget, if I remember. Was it, you're going to put me on the spot, like 90 million? Is that what the tag on that was on Saddle Creek?
The final cost is going to be around $93 million.
Okay.
This is a much higher cost just because of we have to actually build some things to get the flow there. And that's part of that cost, just the inflation, money over time. But yes, that facility was 93 million. This one's going to be about 260 million.
And you gave a task breakdown and the schedule you provided us. And number 2 is a stakeholder engagement. I know your team, I'm confident, as this project is, I think you said it starts in 2027, correct?
Yes.
So there's a good 3 years before equipment is on that site and things get rolling, that the engagement will be done. And that's, I can tell you again, touring that plant, which I appreciated doing on Saddle Creek, if it's the same team that you say that it is, I was impressed with that, and I feel confident that the taxpayers are going to get a great project. And the engagement, again, that's the biggest part, I think, for the communities, especially down a lot of stuff going on down by the airport. That's going to be great, and I'll look forward to updates in the Public Works Committee in the months and couple years ahead, and I'm being glad to be supportive of this. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. No further lights. Next item.
Item 37, an ordinance to approve a major amendment to the West Dodge Station Mixed-Use District Development Agreement. Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on number 37 is today. Proponents, please.
This is a project that is facilitating a sale between the two auto groups, hence the mixed-use major amendment, and then there's an admin lot split that's going alongside that to adjust the lot line to facilitate that sale. So we're here and available to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. Other proponents? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing's closed.
Item 38, an ordinance to approve a contract with Corvell Enterprise Comp, Inc. to provide workers' compensation services.
Public hearing on number 38 is today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon, Deb Zander, City Human Resources, here to answer any questions about the contract.
Any other proponents? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing's closed.
Item 39, an ordinance to approve an interlocal agreement for administration of the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Grant.
Public hearing on number 39 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing's closed.
Item 40, an ordinance to amend Chapter 19, Article 12 of the Omaha Municipal Code entitled Cable Television Systems to match existing agreements and laws.
Public hearing on number 40 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing's closed.
Item 41, an ordinance to renew the cable television franchise with Cox Communications.
Public hearing on number 41 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, any opponents?
Larry Storr, 5015 Lafayette Avenue, Omaha, 68132. I tried to wade myself through number 41 last night in your website, your documents. Find it very difficult for an average citizen that's not a lawyer, and not a specific lawyer, trained lawyer, to read those documents. And it just, with all the amendments and things you're doing and striking things out, it makes it look like you're turning cell things inside out and upside down and bait and switch or whatever. But I keep noticing all these new cell towers going up around town, and I'm wondering why. What's the deal with those? And now all these cable things going on, and we see the speed limit things on the streets now. How much we're being spied on, and why all of these things are being changed. There's like 40 some pages or more behind this one item, number 41. And how many companies are fighting each other for some of the property, and the property between the sidewalk and the street, which is right away. All those things getting changed without very much discussion about why they're being changed so much, and why we have so many companies, and why we have every 3 blocks there's a cell tower. Some are white, some are black. They all look a little similar. Some have a power thing on them. Beginning to wonder how many of them are speakers instead of microwave things, and how many have cameras in them. Getting a lot of interference in the house now. Older neighborhoods don't like microwave very good. The plaster and lath walls causes interference with a lot of the other electronics. So it needs to be looked at a little more carefully, and not moved on so fast. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other opponents? Public hearing is closed. Ms. Melton, you're recognized.
Thanks. I just want to note that we have had a lawyer that's worked on this very hard for quite a long time, and she's also kept us updated. And this is a very standard contract. It may be 30 pages long, but that's what contracts are. There are no amendments to this. There have been no amendments to the ordinance that we've proposed. It is exactly as we've proposed that's on today. So I look forward to supporting this so that we obviously can continue to provide our PEG programming so that everyone can watch our council meetings. I think it's very important when you talk about public involvement to make sure that the public can actually see what you're doing. So I will be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to Ms. Holmquist, who worked on this with us, and also to the Legislative Affairs Committee, with myself, Councilmember Bagley, and Councilmember Melton, for working on this together with them. It was labor intensive and long, so I appreciate all the work those council members put in to get here today. Madam Clerk. Council members, I'll take a motion to go into executive session to discuss labor negotiations.
Motion to go into executive session to discuss labor negotiations.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Melton.
Yes.
Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Harding.
Yes.
Hug. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 6-0.
So I'll state for the record, the purpose of the closed session is only to discuss labor negotiations. The closed session will include the city council, city attorney, city clerk, and council chief of staff.
You're not leaving, are you? Are you going to be here? motion to come out of
You
executive?
do, yeah.
Okay, I'll wait till everybody comes out. Well, there's 4 of us out here.
Yeah.
Motion to come out of executive session?
There's a motion and a second to come out of executive session where we only talked about labor negotiations. Roll call.
Melton.
Yes.
Rowe. Bagley.
Aye.
Harding. Hug. See that here. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Roll call.
Hang on just one second. Motion and Pete was the second. That was Danny?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Got it. Thank you. Melton.
Yes.
Rowe.
Yes.
Bagley.
Aye.
Harding.
Yes.
Hug.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 6-0. Meeting is adjourned at 5:09.